Right, so we've learned about all the synergies and all the characters that work with Ball to enable him, and also the ones that don't work with Ball so well. So we're going to talk about how those heroes work together in a comp, and how that comp works and how you play Wreckingball in that comp, such as Dive. Even with this being said, Ball can play in many different comps though, just some being better than others. We're going to start off with Dive. Dive is an aggressive all-in comp which is quick and aims to bypass the enemy tanks and eliminate the squishies such as DPS or more commonly the support. Dive aims to initiate the attack quickly, unlike a bunker style comp which will sit back and poke the enemy in a battle of endurance instead of going in and initiating the fight. In a dive comp as Ball, you're going to want to be working with your other tank, which is probably going to be a D.Va or a Winston. With a D.Va you want to go in and have the D.Va D-Matrix on your engage and eat any potential early damage. For Winston it's the same as D.Va, but you want him to drop his bubble on engage to eat any potential early damage. As Ball in this comp, your job is to slam those squishies and burst them down with the help of your DPS, which will ideally be a fast mobile DPS such as a Tracer or an Echo. And it's the same for your supports really. You can be playing with mobile supports such as a Lucio, although you can play Dive with an Ana Brig, but the constant always needs to be the Lucio if you're going to be playing with those slower supports to avoid getting split off from your team and having a healer down at the start of the fight. Once getting a pick or two off of the initial dive, your job as Ball is to set up the rest of your team to clean up the enemy team. So slamming and booping and finishing off low HP targets is going to be your main job after the initial dive. Now just for a little bit of what counters dive, especially Ball when playing in dive. Basically, boops, CC, so Mei, Brig, Lucio to an extent. So Lucio can really mess up your dive when you're diving with Winston, because he's only got one initial leap. It's not like D.Va where she can reroute. A Lucio boop onto a dive with a Winston and a Ball could be really damaging to the actual efficiency of the dive, because it gives time for Lucio to speed his team out the way while you guys are trying to get back together from being booped. Also playing against just any CC characters, Brig, McCree, Mei, just all these absolute demons. Now on to Bunker or Poke. This comp is completely different on paper to Dive. In this Poke comp, you'll be playing with a Sigma or a Narissa. The goal of the comp is to play slow and break down your opponents gradually instead of rushing in. You need to take space and take control of map advantages like high ground. This comp is not ideal to play in as Ball, as it doesn't allow for anyone to follow up on your slams or mobility to help you in the backline such as a fast DPS. As Ball in a Poke comp, your role is most likely going to be one of disrupting the enemy's backline and making it hard to set up, allowing for your team to take space. Your role as Ball is to displace the enemy tanks, example booping them around the corner to allow your team to pump damage into them after getting LOS off your boop. As I said, Ball is not really ideal to play in a Bunker or Pokey style comp, unless you're going to play split with a D.Va and have the D.Va sit back and help you Zen. He's much more geared towards a fast chaotic playstyle, which is something Bunker is certainly not. There's not really much more to say about Bunker except if you're going to have to play Ball with Bunker, try play a little bit more conservative, so come back to your team a lot more than going for health packs. Coming back to your team occasionally allows for a 6v6 in the situation that they're playing a brawl comp and try and run you over. You're also going to be responsible for doing a lot of shield break, and that's not ideal for Ball obviously. Bear in mind we've only spoke about 3 types of comp in this video. There is obviously more types of comp you can play with Ball, such as I mentioned earlier, split with D.Va, with the Zen Ana, or Zen Mercy if you want to play with a Pharah. But everyone plays that comp differently and it's quite a niche comp. So if you want a video on that alone, I'll do like a standalone video on that and not group it in with these more common stereotypical comp types. Finally, Brawl. When playing Brawl with a Ball, I assume you're going to be playing with a Reinhardt and not a Zarya, but you can play with Zarya as well. It's a very, very good combination, A-tier synergy by the way. But I assume you're going to be playing with a Reinhardt. When playing with a Rein, you're the off tank here. You're not playing main tank when you're playing with a Reinhardt. Your the guinea pig basically. You go in and you take all the stuns, all the damage, and get all the abilities out of the enemy team for the Ryan to walk in and do his job. Because the Ryan gets all his ult charge from melee, mostly he's got his fire strengths as well, but they're not always consistent. And Ryan wants to be in there swinging, brawling, as the comp's name is. So you need to go in there and make that space for him to be able to close the gap between his team and the enemy team, so you can get in there while playing Brawl. After you close the distance and you're able to get your Reinhardt forward, you can play either one of two ways. You can carry on going for the backline and trying to set up slams for your DPS to get picks, or you can play behind the Ryan shield and brawl with them and try slam mid fight and use your techs. The downside to playing Ball with a Reinhardt in a Brawl comp, if you come up against a Brawl mirror, say they're playing Ryan Zarya, you're at a major disadvantage. This being because when you're playing with a Ball and a Reinhardt, the synergy isn't as good. You can't really play off each other as well. Unlike a Ryan Zarya, where the Zarya can bubble the Ryan and gain loads of charge, and then they get more value together as a two. One mutually helps the other. With Ball not providing as much value as a Zarya with a Ryan, it makes it an inferior comp. That's all I've got to say on basic comps with Ball and how to play them, and how to play Ball as a part of the comp to get the most value and hopefully win the most games. Because I know, especially at lower ranks, it's not always easy to find the best comp, especially with one tricks, etc., or people just not willing to switch.